Women do not have equal protection in the U.S. Constitution, even though the battle to change that started a century ago. New at 5:30, a look at what the Equal Rights Amendment is all about.
All men may be created equal here in America, but where do women stand?
The Constitution does not cover equal rights for all, except for voting. And so for me, that kind of puts a little bit of fear in my heart.
100 years ago, the Equal Rights Amendment aimed to change that, ending legal distinctions between men and women in things like divorce, property, and employment.
And I think it's really important that we make a notice of that and find the importance of why this being passed means so much.
Nothing really happened until both houses of Congress approved the ERA in 1972. But the amendment still needed 38 state support within 7 years. It didn't come easy. Opponents worried the ERA could take away special considerations, like working conditions, especially during pregnancy. Some feared women would be drafted into military combat or lose protections like alimony.
If your fear is that you're going to be drafted, why would all of a sudden opening up opportunities for equality for all change the draft bill? And I get that there is a lot of fear that people are going to be losing certain rights by opening rights for others, and I just don't understand how that equates.
The ratification deadline for the ERA was 1982. It came and went. Then the Me Too movement gained traction in 2017 and renewed interest in equal rights. One leader of that movement, actress Alyssa Milano, says it would level the playing field.
Everything that has to do with gender equality, whether that be equal pay for equal work, women are still only making 80 cents to the dollar, and that's even less for women of color. We're still fighting for the right for our bodily autonomy.
Nevada, Illinois, and Virginia became the final 3 states needed to make the ERA official. But the deadline to ratify is technically up, and just last week, a resolution to remove that deadline failed in the Senate.
Now, some have suggested that the ERA is no longer needed. We've certainly made great strides as women since 1923, but there's a lot more that needs to be done.
Senator Lisa Murkowski was one of only 2 Republicans to vote to drop the deadline, blocking the ERA last week.
Women are a majority of the U.S. population, but continue to be underrepresented in elected office, in the courts, in the business world, and in so many other areas.
Some Republicans say the 14th Amendment, which gives U.S. citizens equal protection under the laws, should be enough.
The 14th Amendment doesn't talk about sex specifically. So having something that uses that explicit language would just be a clearer path to rights.
Some opponents of the Equal Rights Amendment have expressed concern that it could play a role in the battle over reproductive rights. Is this the end of the Equal Rights Amendment as we know it, as it was drafted 100 years ago?
No, because somebody else could bring up this same bill in the future, just like anything that Congress does, any resolution. If it doesn't pass the first time, they can try again. You could revive the same one. It's just it would take a 2/3 vote from a Congress that is not likely to provide that right now.
And it's not just for women. This includes rights for paternity leave, motherhood, discrimination, a lot of the stuff that a lot of us don't really think about. And we feel like it should be ingrained in society that we consider the rights of people. And, the fact that it's not there now is something that we should really consider.
I reached out to California Senator Alex Padilla, who voted to extend the ERA ratification deadline last week. He said Roe v. Wade being overturned was an attack on women's rights and called it critical to amend the Constitution to guarantee equality under the law regardless of sex.